I'm Anastasius Fomin, and in today's video I'm going to be explaining how to find the derivatives of two different equations. So for the first equation, we have f of x is equal to 4x cubed plus 5x minus 2 all to the power of 28. To solve this, to find the derivative of this equation, we will use the chain rule, which states that if f of x is equal to g of h of x, then the derivative of f of x is equal to the derivative of g of x using h of x as its variable multiplied by the derivative of h of x. So the first steps in using the chain rule to find the derivative would be to identify what is g of x and what is h of x. Now in this formula, g of x would be equal to x to the power of 28. Why do we know this? This is because 28 is on the outside, is the outermost power, if you will. And then h of x would be 4x cubed plus 5x minus 2. And we know this because it is the equation that is inside g of x. Now, because we'll be using both the derivatives of g of x and h of x, it would be a good idea now to find both of those derivatives before plugging in all of the equations into the chain rule. So, g of x will be equal to 28 times x to the power of 27, because of the power rule. Then the derivative of h of x, similarly, because of the power rule, would be equal to 12x squared plus 5. And then because of the constant rule, which states that the derivative of any constant is 0, then it's just left at that. Now let's go ahead and plug in all of this into our chain rule equation. So f of x will be equal to 28 multiplied by x to the power of 27, or in other words, h of x to the power of 27. So 4x cubed plus 5x minus 2 to the power of 27 multiplied by derivative of h of x, which is 12x cubed, or x squared, plus 5. I'm going to put a line here just to separate that. And yeah, that is the derivative of our first equation. I'm going to put a little box around there just to denote that, because I don't want to expand it. Now, moving on to our second equation, we need to find the derivative of e to the power of 5x to the power of 6. Sorry, trying to figure out what it said. 6 plus 7x minus 9. Now, to find the derivative of this equation, we will be using the derivative of any exponential functions, which the theorem essentially states that the derivative of any function e to the power of a function g of x would be equal to e to the power of g of x multiplied by the derivative of g of x. In this equation, let's identify what our g of x is, which is essentially all of these numbers up here. So, so g of x would be equal to 5x to the power of 6 plus 7x minus 9. Then we find the derivative of g of x, since we will be using that in our final equation for the derivative, which would, according to the power rule, be 5 times 6, 30, x to the power of 5, which is 6 minus 1, plus 7, and then minus 0 because the constant rule states that constants are equal to, derivatives of constants are equal to 0. And so let's, oops, actually I might, sorry, just write that here. This is the derivative of f of x, not f of x itself. Here, let's say derivative of f of x is equal to e to the power of g of x. So e to the power of 5 times x to the power of 6 plus 7x minus 9 multiplied by derivative of g of x. So 30x to the power of 5 plus 7. Now there isn't really any way to simplify this, so it's best to leave it in its non-expanded form. And yeah, that is the derivatives of two different equations for the math assignment, or video assignment number 2. Thank you.